Hey everyone, Zach from thebarbellphysio.com, and today we're going to be reviewing the Rep Fitness Hades deadlift bar and why you should consider purchasing it if you're in the market for a deadlift specific bar. So before we dive into why you might want a deadlift specific bar that you only are going to perform deadlifts with, you're not going to be using on your benches, your squats, your deadlift, or your CrossFit style workouts, let's talk about why these benefits happen. And these benefits happen from two different setups that happen in the build out of these barbells. Number one is going to be the diameter of the barbell. So we're looking at the Rep Fitness Hades bar here versus the Rogue Ohio bar down here. When we look at the diameter of the Hades bar, it's going to come in at 27 millimeters versus most of your multi-purpose barbells are going to be more in the 28.5 millimeter diameter range. That 1.5 millimeter difference is going to allow you to get a stronger grip on the bar, and for many people their deadlift will be limited by grip strength if they're not deadlifting with straps, and so that thinner diameter is going to help improve your maximal strength. The other thing that you have here is the length of the bar. So I'm going to pull my Ohio bar up just so you can see a comparison here in the length of the bar. As you'll notice, the Ohio bar is a little bit shorter than your deadlift bar. So the deadlift bar here, the Rep Fitness Hades bar, comes in at 91 inches wide versus 86 3/4 inches long with the Ohio bar. So most of that comes from this section of the barbell as well. And what that long, thin bar is going to do, it's going to give you more whip. What whip is a little bit of flexion in the bar that happens when the bar has enough load on it. Usually when we're talking, getting up into the 400-pound range, as you start to pull the bar off the ground, you'll notice in deadlift bars that you get a lot more flexion of the bar. And that's a huge advantage in the deadlift as well, because it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to pull the slack out of the barbell. If you're using a really stiff barbell, and let's say you have 4 plates on the bar, you are having to lift all 4 plates at once. When you use a deadlift bar, as that bar starts to flex, some of those plates will unload while some of them kind of stay on the ground a little bit. And it just helps you build up a little bit of speed, get into slightly better positioning. You're going to deadlift a little bit more weight when you have a deadlift specific bar, which is the big advantage that many people that care about their maximal deadlift, that's why they're going to go with picking up a deadlift specific bar. All right, next feature with this bar. We already talked about the diameter, but it's going to be the knurling on this bar. So there are a couple things that are going to be different with this bar than most of your other bars. So first, from a knurling perspective, there's no center knurling because you don't need that when you're only going to be deadlifting. You're going to also notice that the knurling here starts a little bit wider. So it's going to give you a little bit more leg clearance to deadlift with without tearing your shins up on the knurling, which is really nice to have, especially if you're taller or wider framed. The knurling itself, when we get out here, is also really aggressive, and I love aggressive knurling. I want to get done with a set of deadlifts, and I want to have to claw my hands open and kind of feel that rough abrasiveness of the knurling. It's going to help you stay even more connected to the barbell. That aggressive knurling combined with thin diameter is going to really help your grip strength and your deadlift overall quite a bit. The next thing to consider with the Rep Fitness Hades bar is going to be the length of the sleeve here. So this is a 15.5 inch sleeve compared to our Ohio bar here, coming in at 16.4 inches. So almost 3/4 of an inch there. That could be the difference between putting another plate on or not. So you really need to consider that depending on the type of weightlifting plates you have. If you've got powerlifting competition plates, if you've got Rep Fitness competition plates, you're probably not going to run into any issues here. The next thing to consider as you're looking at the Rep Fitness Hades bar is going to be the sleeve length. For those of you competing in powerlifting or training at a powerlifting gym, that's not going to be an issue for you because you're probably not going to have the wrong style of weightlifting plates. But if you're somebody in a home gym or in a CrossFit gym, you want to consider this. So the sleeve length here is 15.5 inches versus our Ohio bar coming in at 16.4 inches. So that 0.65 inch difference can be a big deal for you. If you have those really thick, high temp bumper plates that are so common in CrossFit gyms and home gyms, then you might actually be limited by how many plates you can fit on this 15.5 inch sleeve, therefore not being able to maximally load this. But if you're somebody that has competition plates such as the rep competition plates, or your standard powerlifting like steel plates or steel competition powerlifting plates, that shouldn't be an issue for you with this bar. And then finally, when we're talking about the Rep Fitness Hades bar, let's talk about pricing. So this bar is going to cost $370 at the time of this recording. Rep Fitness, the beautiful thing about them as a company is that shipping is always free with that. So when we compare that to like the Rogue Ohio deadlift bar, so their variation of a deadlift bar, that's going to be $375, but then you have to pay shipping on top of that. So that's going to make this considerably cheaper for a specialty bar. So that's also worth considering. Overall, I really like my Rep Fitness Hades bar here in the first 2 months or so that I've had it. I think it's definitely worth considering buying if you want a deadlift specific specialty bar.